Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to UCANTALK. My name is Ruth Finney, and this morning we are going to be talking about step parenting. Step parenting. Hold on just one second. This always seems to lag behind. Anyway, I don't know if anyone typically ever plans. Oh, there we go. Hold on. I don't think anyone typically ever plans on becoming a step parent. It's typically something that you kind of fall into. A lot of times you may be dating someone, or you are dating someone, and maybe you all fall in love and they have children, and suddenly you all are, getting to that point in your relationship where you're thinking that you want to spend the rest of your lives together, or have something serious. And you have to make that decision. Oh, they have children. Do I want to be a step parent? What does that mean to be a step parent, right? Or is it something that you're prepared for? Most of the time it's not, especially if you don't have children. And even if you do have children, it is something that can be very difficult to prepare for. Good morning, Levi. How are you this morning? Good to see you. Welcome in. I appreciate you being here so much every morning. We are talking about step parenting this morning. So when you, like I say, you just happen to fall in love with somebody who just happens to have children, and suddenly you have to make that decision of whether or not this is something that you want to take on or not. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't, and sometimes people aren't sure. So we're going to talk about those things. So because we are, typically not planned, it's not planned for, maybe something you haven't thought a whole lot about, or maybe you do have your own thoughts and ideas about it and think, oh, this should go smooth, this shouldn't be a problem. I love kids, it should be no issue. However, you will quickly realize that it can very soon alter your life in ways that you never imagined. Good morning, real mamas. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. You can suddenly find out very quickly that becoming a step parent will alter your life in ways that you never could have imagined. All right. So therefore, it's imperative that if you are currently in this role or thinking about taking on this role, it is imperative that you develop some communication skills with your partner, with the person you're married to, about step parenting, what your roles are going to be, what their expectations are. So much you have to talk about. If you are considering becoming a step parent. And this is no matter what age of the child. I don't care if they're grown and gone, not living in your house, whatever it is you need to talk about, because you're still sitting in that role as step parent. And it's important that you all, talk about some important things. And we're going to talk about that today. If you are not willing to talk about the kids, then you're probably not ready to be a step parent, because the bottom line is they're going to be in your life no matter what. Step parenting is a game changer. It can be a game changer when it comes to romantic relationships. So if you are thinking about it, then please continue watching this morning, okay? I have been a step parent to 4 children in my life. Currently, right now, I'm still a step parent to 3. And I use that term because technically that is what I am. They do call me mother or mom, or sometimes they call me Ruth. It just depends on whatever they're comfortable with. I let them set the terms on, what they're comfortable with me with, because they came into my life at different ages. The first boy I had 3 boys that I've step parented, and 1 girl currently that I'm step parenting. One came into my life when I was 6, and when he was 6, and the others later came into my life when I was after that. I had a divorce from that situation, nothing to do with the child at all. But I raised him from 6 all the way to 18, and then the others came into my life. My current husband came into my life from the age of around 12 all the way up to grown, being grown right now. So I can tell you from experience that Every child and every experience of step parenting has been very different. Okay. Every child has been very different. I also was raised by a stepfather. He came into my life when I was 3. And well, they married when I was 3. He came into my life when I was 2. And he had been in my life till the time he died. Okay. So he's really been the only father that has lived in the house with me. I also had, my birth father who lived in the same city as me. I had 2 or 3 stepmothers. I don't quite remember. I know he was married to 2. I'm not sure about the third, and multiple numerous girlfriends that I had to learn how to get along with. So my husband also had a stepfather who came into his life very, very young and raised him his entire life. And he has also been a stepfather of 2 children. So we are very, very familiar, and we've had lots of conversations about our step parents, about being step parents, and we've talked a lot about the things that have worked and the things that don't work, and that's the stuff that I want to share with you all today. All right. First of all, if you are weak at heart, if you know you don't really care for kids, or if you're not sure if you have that parental gene, then step parenting is probably not for you. And it's okay. Get out now. Okay. If you are concerned, don't let the relationship get to a point where you're feeling like you really want to be with this person, but you haven't really had a lot of involvement with the kids, or y'all haven't had a lot of conversations about the kids. And if that is the case, and you're not sure if you want to go down that road, just go ahead and get out. Just go ahead and get out. Good morning, Rochelle Vanterpool. Good to see you this morning, and a pleasure to meet you. And I'm so happy that you're here. We're talking about step parenting this morning. All right. So if you are walking into a relationship thinking that, oh, it's okay if they have kids, I don't need to worry about if they have kids because I'll only have to deal with them till they're 17 or 18 and then they'll be gone and it'll just be us, you're sadly mistaken. Okay. Those children will be in your life till the day you die. Okay. They will have some level of involvement with you. And you need to recognize that and know that up front so that you're not disappointed, so that you're not frustrated or overwhelmed by the level of involvement that step parenting may have from the time that you get married until you die, or until you stay with that person. So it is best that you know now up front. It is not a selfish thing to decide not to be with someone because they have children, or it's not a selfish thing. It is responsible. It is responsible for you. It's responsible for the person that you are falling in love with, and responsible for the children. If it's not something that you want to do, don't do it. If you have reservations about it, if you're not sure that you like kids or you want children in your life, don't do it. It's not selfish. It's responsible. Okay. It's responsible. Exactly. Be realistic. Be realistic. All right. There's nothing wrong with waiting for that person that you want to be with that doesn't have kids. There's nothing wrong with that. Getting married or becoming a step parent is not a requirement of having a happy, healthy marriage. Okay. If it's parenting is something that you're I feel like you're called to, or you're not. If you're not called to it, you're going to struggle a little bit with it. But if you've always wanted to be a parent, or thought you wanted to be a parent, then you're gonna do fine. You're gonna do fine with it. So yeah, it's not irresponsible, and it's not a requirement in order to find somebody and be with somebody. You may have to wait a little bit longer, but you have to be willing to take on you may have to wait a little longer depending on your age, right? Because the older you get, the harder it is to find, people who don't have kids, and that's okay. That's okay. But they are out there. They are out there. And if that is what you want, you wait for it, you pray for it, and God will bring that special package to you, and you will be happy that you waited, because that's what you want. However, if you are dating someone, married to someone, currently in the situation where you have children, then be willing to take on the whole package of it for a lifetime. Okay. Know that you have to take it on for a lifetime. So if you've made that decision, or you're thinking about making that decision, here's some things that I want you to be prepared for. Number one is know your role. Know your role. Okay. If you have ever been a step parent, or if you've never been a step parent, or if you, let's see, or if you've never had a step parent, okay, it can be very difficult to understand what that role looks like and what it entails. And it can currently dating someone with children. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good. Then this is going to be some good stuff for you. Okay. This is going to be some good stuff for you. If you never had it can be difficult, like I said, to know what the role entails. So that's why it's important to talk about it. We are the child's step parent. Okay. So it's very important that you know that you're their step parent, that the child knows that you're their step parent, of course, the person you're dating. And I say this because everyone needs to know that you are not trying to take the role of the birth parent. Okay. The birth parent is always priority number one, whether they're there, whether they're gone, whether have passed on, whether they're in their lives, living in a different city, whatever the situation is, you need to recognize that you're the step parent, and that everyone needs to know that you're not trying to take that birth parent's place. They are always going to have a priority in their life, and they should be acknowledged as such. They should always be acknowledged that they have a birth parent, okay, no matter what type of relationship they may have with that birth parent. Now, they may accept you and take you on and say, well, no, I want you to be my parent. I want you to be my mom, my dad, whatever you are to them. Then let that be, then that can be, but just know, still keep in your mind that you're the step parent. This is important. Okay. This is important as I continue on through these things that you need to know. Oh, that's what I was going to say. One of the reasons it's important also is because you want to give the child the voice to decide what type of relationship you're going to have in their life. I don't care if they're young. I don't care if they're old. You need to allow the child to decide what type of relationship they want you to have in their life. And this is helpful because it will allow you to face less resistance when you are in their life. Okay. So if they want to be close to you, they want you to, really sort of be that parent for them, then they will let you know that. They will let you, they'll let you know what they want from you. And then you can sort of fill in that role for them accordingly. But if they're like, okay, no, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. I respect you as my father's wife or as my mother's husband, but I don't need another parent. Then respect them, respect that decision, respect that that's what they want, that that's what they're comfortable with, and don't try to force whatever type of relationship that you want to have with them. Allow them to decide the type of relationship that they want to have with you, and then you act accordingly. So some of my kids, I really feel more of a parental role for them, and some of them it's more kind of like a friendship role for them, or mentor role for them. So and that's just the way that it has gone sometimes. So be prepared for that. The important thing is not to try to force yourself on the parent. The second very, very, very important thing. Good morning, Shanita Marie Randomly. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Welcome in. Welcome in. Establish some ground rules. Okay. Get some ground rules established up front. Whatever role they want you to have doesn't mean that you don't still have a voice. Okay. You still have a voice as to what type of parent and what level of involvement you want to have in the child's life. Okay. So it's important to get some ground rules established around that, because it can't be that, the child and, the other parent are making all the decisions. You need to be able to have a voice and make some decisions as well. Some of those things may look like who's going to discipline the child, right? Or what levels of discipline are you allowed to have with the child? Um, One of the things, for instance, when I was coming up, my husband and I both, when we were coming up, we both had stepfathers and stepmothers. Um, One of the things that was established in our household coming up, and one of the things that we do even to this day, is that we don't put our hands on on our stepchildren. That's something we've never done. We had never done that, and that was something that our parents never allowed for us. Our stepfathers and stepmothers could discipline us. They could, punish us verbally, say things that we had to follow, but they were never allowed to spank us or do anything like that. And I know there are plenty of you out there that don't believe in corporal punishment, but that was not the type of household that I grew up in, me nor my husband. So we definitely got the spankings, and I had my fair share. So, but they were always done by my mother or by my father, and not by our step parents. Okay, so that may be a ground rule that you all may need to establish. What type of discipline will I be allowed? What are you comfortable with me? How are you comfortable with me correcting your children? Okay. And that is a very important rule to make. Okay. If there, let's see, very few things. Another one is establishing, talking about what's important. Okay. Talking about anything going on when decisions are being made around the kids. All parents need to be involved. Okay. You may not be that you as the step parent know every single decision made, that you're involved in every single decision made. But if it's a big decision, if it's an important decision, and if it affects you in any way, financially, physically, emotionally, your time, taking up time or whatever the situation is, you need to be involved. You need to know about it. The two of you are one flesh. Okay. So there should not be secrets or things that are being kept or held behind your back that you don't know about. Okay. So, but y'all need to establish that there shouldn't be this complete secrecy around what's going on with the person you're married to and the child and the birth parent. There should be some openness. There should be some communication. There, you should know some things that are going on, some important things going on. You may not know every single little. You don't even want to know every single little decision. Okay, but some of those things that are important, especially like if they're around finances or time or, like I say, things that require physical time, yours or the person that you're married to, those kind of, you need to talk about those things. Those things there needs to be some open communication around those. You may have to develop some ground rules around the birth parents, right? So like, whether they're present or not present, whether they live in the same city or not, whether they're alive or not. Well, if they're not alive, then this may not be. Well, yeah, even if they're not alive, this one still applies. So, and this is a huge one. This is a huge one. I cannot express this one to you enough. Never, never, never disrespect or talk bad about the birth parent or undermine their role as the parent. Okay. Never disrespect them, never talk bad about them, and never undermine their role as the birth parent. Okay. One of the things that this is something that we never did. My mother never allowed, it to happen. My father never allowed it to happen. She never talked bad about my father. She never allowed me to talk bad about my father. The same with my husband. He was never allowed to talk bad about his father. Now we may have said some things behind our, parents' back but they never knew about it, right? They never knew about it. But so yeah, never say anything bad or disrespectful about that birth parent, no matter what type of birth parent they have. Okay. And I know that a lot of times birth parents can give you numerous reasons and a whole lot of content to talk about, but do not disrespect those birth parents. Okay. It is very important for you to realize that children no matter what type of parents they have, are still identifying themselves with their parents, good or bad. So if you talk negatively about that birth parent, then or you say something bad about that birth parent, you are ultimately affecting the child. Because if you say, oh, your parent is, this, that, and the other, then there is a part of that child that is going to feel that that is something that they may have to contend with themselves. They're going to feel like that part of them is bad because that parent is still half of who they are. So if you disrespect that person, if you talk ugly or bad about that person, then ultimately you're affecting the child, okay, and not the birth parent. So, and no matter what you say, no matter what type of parent it is, what they're doing or not doing, they are always going to love that parent. They're always going to love that parent. So don't think that you are doing yourself a favor or doing the child a favor by speaking negatively upon the birth parent, because you're not. You're not. Anything I can tell you from experience, anything that child needs to know about that birth parent, the birth parent will eventually reveal it to them, or the child will eventually become to develop a level of understanding about that parent for themselves. You don't have to speak negatively about about the parent. Let them develop their own relationship with their parent. Let them come to their own understanding about what their parent is like and what their parent are. And even if the child does get to a place where they say, well, I don't like this about my mom, or I don't like this about my dad, then don't go down that road with them and bashing the parent and be like, oh, I'm so glad you see that. I'm so glad you understand, right? That's not what we do. You bring it back and try to bring it back to the positives about that parent. Okay, you're going to reinforce what's good about them and not co-sign on what's bad about them. Okay, yes, your father struggles with this. Yes, your mother struggles with this, but they're still good at this, and they're still a good person. They still love you. They still care about you. They still, life is hard. Things are difficult, challenges, and we're going to face challenges and struggles as parents. And so some of us handle those things well. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we, conquer them and get over things, and other times we suffer and we fall. But that doesn't make your parent any less worthy, any less lovable, any less, any less important, any less relevant in your life. They're still your father. They're still your mother, right? So reinforce the good of that parent rather than, co-signing on what's bad about them. Because again, this is going to be a reflection upon how the child sees themselves. Okay. So that's why it's important not to co-sign on that bad stuff about the parent. Let's see. A child's love is unconditional. We have to be careful with that. Definitely support and listen. Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about children, is that their love is unconditional. And so therefore, we should continue to reinforce that unconditional love by showing them that it's okay to love that parent who has faults. It's okay to love that parent who, doesn't come around as often as they should. It doesn't make them any less of a human. It doesn't make them any less worthy of being loved, right? God loves us no matter what. He loves us in spite of our mistakes. He still does for us in spite of the things that we do and don't do, in spite of our sin, in spite of our outright just ratchetness sometimes. He still loves us. He still cares about us. And that is the same type of love that we need to be showing others, especially the parents of our children, okay? Or the parents of your stepchildren's parents, right? So, or of your stepchildren. So it's very important that you don't disrespect or talk bad about them. Another one is talking about how much. This is another important one. Okay. You all, if you're dating someone, you may have to talk about the level of access, okay, and how much communication they will have with the birth parent. I know that sometimes when relationships are fresh off of, being together, there's a whole lot of communication going on still, right? Like they're calling every day, they're calling all day, they're calling all during the night, for any and every little thing, like as if they're still together, right? Because they haven't made that adjustment of severing the ties and, not being in each other's life all the time. And so it can be difficult to kind of make that break or set up some boundaries around how much communication and what level of access we're going to still continue to have with the birth parent. So talk about that. Talk about what you're comfortable with. Talk about what you're not comfortable with. Talk about even what topics of discussion, like, hey, I don't want you talking to your ex about, my personal things, right? Like if I'm the step parent, I don't want that birth mother or father to know all about my personal things, right? Certain things, decide what's going to be on limits to talk about and off limits to talk about. You may have to decide, how much call-in or how much, like I say, how much access are they allowed to, come to your home or coming? So I see, ex-parents like hanging out, coming over, hanging out. You set the ground rules, whatever you all are comfortable with. I see a lot of even celebrities where everybody's hanging out together, right? The husband, the wife, the ex, the kids, everybody's all together. It's a big hoorah, type situation. And if that is something you all are comfortable with, y'all are good with that, have at it. If you are not good with that and you want there to be some boundary set up, then you need to talk with your spouse about that, okay? Or whoever you're dating, you need to talk with them like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. Or, you're all having a lot of conversation about, this, that, or the other, or whatever, and maybe some certain things that they're talking about may be inappropriate, right? Or that you don't think are appropriate to be talking about, whatever the situation is. Have those conversations about, what level of access is going to continue to be. All right. There may be some, if it's something maybe that's outside of an emergency or whatever, or if it is an emergency, how are you going to handle those situations, right? What types of emergencies should you be involved in, or maybe not so much, right? All kinds of stuff, all kinds of situations come in. Trust me, all kinds of situations come when it comes to the level of access that you will continue to have with the parent. You may have to decide whether you will be the person that will talk to the birth parent, or whether your spouse will be the person that will talk to the birth parent. I know a lot of times, it may be required that you as the step parent actually have to talk to the birth parent. And if you're good with that, if you're comfortable with that, then let that be. If you don't want to talk to the birth parent, then let the spouse talk to the birth parent, all this stuff you have to talk about, but all these issues are going to come up. Let's see. It took my partner 6 years to finally help me with discipline. He just worried about overstepping the boundaries. Yeah, he worried about it because maybe, I don't know what type of boundaries or what level of boundaries you all had set up, but if they weren't clear, and if they weren't reinforced, then we as step parents, you worry. You can easily worry about, is this too much? Or should I pull back a little bit? Or maybe I should just have none at all. Because here's the thing. We know that as Mama Bear and Papa Bear, you overstep that boundary, just one little thing, one little bit, boom, all hell can break loose, right? Step parents walk a tightrope. And one, too far to the left, a little too far to the right, we're going to get chastised for what we did, right? Or how we could have done it differently, or how we should have did it better. And we know that is a fine line. And in case we don't know, we get reminded by the mama bear or the papa bear, right? So it's not something that we take for granted. And we know that we can very easily say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. And in the drop of a hat, that birth parent is going to be extremely upset. Why did you do that? What were your intentions behind doing that? Or, why did you come at them that way? Or whatever the situation is, we know. So it's always better to proceed with caution than to overstep a boundary. Okay. So that's typically what that's about. All right. So get some baseline rules established. Get some baseline rule. This is what I'm okay with. Let them know how you discipline the child, okay? Or find out how they discipline their child versus just discipline the child and you not having any understanding about what that should look like. Okay. Learn what they do, study. As a step parent, you become a student. You become a student of the person that you're married to, and you become a student of the birth parent as well. Find out what they're already doing and try to take on those roles. If you see that something can be done differently, or you think that something can be done better, then approach them in that way. Say, hey, I see you all doing this, or I see you doing that. Have you ever thought about trying this, or have y'all tried that? Have you thought about this? Have you considered that? Take it to them, ask, and then before you proceed. And that's my last step here is ask if you don't know and proceed with caution. Okay, ask. I can't express that enough. One thing to know, it is always better to ask if you don't know how to approach the situation, or whatever thing that is coming to you, or if you're unsure about it. It is always better to ask the parent. I don't care if they're not there and you have to pick up that phone and call and be like, hey, your child is doing this. Such and such is doing that, or they're asking me about this, or they're asking me about that. Shoot a quick text, whatever you can do. If you're not sure how to approach it and you're worried about, I might be overstepping a boundary here. Okay, it's always better to ask and proceed with caution. Don't make assumptions that you know what to do, because you may not. 9 times out of 10, you may not know what to do, and it's always better to ask. And the thing is, what's so effective about asking is that it really builds a sense of trust with the birth parent, that you care enough about my child, or you care enough about me, or you care enough about our relationship, that you took the time to ask, that you didn't just make assumptions. So now I know that you care so much about this relationship, you care so much about our child, that you're asking me how I would approach the situation, or what you should do, because you don't want to make the wrong move. You don't want to overstep a boundary. You don't want to, do the wrong thing. So that lets us know that you care, and that builds trust. That establishes trust. And I can't tell you how important it is for you to establish trust with the birth parents as the step parent. Okay, because that'll make things so much smoother and so much easier for you as you all continue on. You will eventually get to that place where you know how to approach things, you know how to say things, you learn what the parent would and would not do. But it can take a couple of years, and the child is constantly changing and growing, and they're learning how to be parents just like you're learning how to be a step parent. But if you all get those ground rules established, then you can have a baseline of some good things to do and not to do. Okay, I know they absolutely don't like this. I know they absolutely love that. This is something that they would not do, wouldn't do, whatever. And this is really important, especially if you're dating someone from a different culture, from a different religion, who just grew up very differently than you. Because remember, we all come with our own thoughts and ideas about what parenting should look like, and just like they do. And it may be very, very different than what they want or what they had planned for their child. It may look different from what they're doing, and it may look different from what they actually have planned for raising their kids. So therefore, you have to have these conversations. You have to talk about, okay, what kind of things do you do? How do you handle this type of stuff? How do you handle that kind of stuff? There's always going to be stuff that's going to come up that you didn't plan for. Always. That's just life, right? That's just what it is. But the more you can talk about it, the more you can ask about it, and develop a sense of trust around it, things will go so much smoother for you and so much better for you. Here's the main thing. These are the things that I want you to keep in mind. This works every time. Once you establish a position of trust, that's what you're really doing as a step parent, right? You're trying to establish some trust. They're looking at, are you who you say you are, right? As the step parent, as the person that you're dating, and you being the step parent, are you who you say you are? Can you be counted upon to do the things that you say you're going to do? Are your intentions good around my child, right? Or do you have alternate intentions around my children? Can you add value to my child's life? Okay. And can you make them feel loved? Can you make them feel loved? That is your role as a step parent. Those are the things that you need to keep in mind. That's what you're working on. That's what you're trying to develop as a step parent. Are you who you say you are, right? Can you be counted upon to do the things that you say you're going to do? Are your intentions good around me, around my child, around this family? Can you add value to my child's life? And can you make them feel loved? If you can get those things down, you will be fine. You will be fine as a step parent. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Henry Pelzar, official. Good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. We were just talking about step parenting. So yes, it is that simple. If you keep those things in mind, do the things you say you're going to do, be who you say you are, be able to be counted upon, be trustworthy. Make sure that your intentions are good, that you're not doing things behind the parent's back to, that's going to disrupt the child's life or disrupt your life together as a couple. Figure out where you can add value to the child's life. You may not be that birth parent, but that doesn't mean that you still can't play an important role in that child's life, no matter what age they are. I don't care if they're 50, if they're 30, whatever the age is, you can still add value to their life. And say, you can still be a mentor, you can still be an advisor, you can still be just a good example, of what a parent could look like, right? Because you might not look or sound or act anything like their birth parent. So, figure out how you can add value to the child's life and work on those things rather than just being their best friend or being their mother or their father that they never had, right? So do those things and you will be successful at step parenting. All right. So that's all I have for you all this morning. I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer and then we're going to head out. I appreciate you all being here. I hope you got some good takeaways and that you can feel confident and comfortable and make some decisions about step parenting. All right. Father, thank you for waking us up this morning and allowing us to have air in our lungs and blood running through our veins. Thank you for who you are, the love that you give us each and every day that we do not deserve. Father, for those that are in this chat right now, for those that will be watching the replay that are considering becoming a step parent or are currently in that step parent role, and if they're struggling, Father, help them to develop a sense of understanding about what their role is, what their expectations are, and what they can expect. Give them comfort and peace in knowing that ultimately, Lord, you are our Father. You are our Father. So we don't have to be more than who we are called to be. We just need to be our best selves. Children deserve the best of who we are, whether they're ours or whether we birthed them or whether they came into our life in whatever capacity. They deserve the best of who we are. So help us to, keep that in mind, keep our intentions good, to develop good, healthy relationships with the person that we're with, along with the birth parents, so that they know that we are not a threat. That we're not a threat, that we are there to add value to their child's life. Father, heal any tumultuous relationships that are going on between stepchildren and step parents. Bring some understanding, bring some peace, bring some will to want to do better and to want to be better. Heal some broken relationships, Father. Come in, intervene, allow some conversations that happen, break down some barriers that are getting in the way of those good, positive, healthy relationships happening, and be present in our life and be present in the relationship so that we can know that you're there and that you will take care of everything. You'll make everything all right. It's not as hard as we make it to be, Father. And just remind us that we are loved, and because we are loved, we should be showing that love to others, no matter how they came into our life. Children are a gift. Children are a gift, no matter how they come into our lives, and help us to treat them as such. And when we keep that in our mind and keep in mind that they ultimately belong to you, God. then we know we're just responsible for them. We're just responsible for getting them moved into the right direction into their lives. So help us to keep that in mind and do the best that we can and be our best selves when it comes to children. Father, we love you. We thank you. These things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Some good information. Notes have been taken. Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you for always having relevant and helpful information. You're amazing. God bless you. God bless you too, Chef. I appreciate you all so much. I enjoy doing this. I would be here no matter what. So I love sharing the things that I've learned, and I hope that it brings some value to your life. All right. So you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful Wednesday. I got a tip coming out tomorrow. We'll be back here on Friday. I think I'm talking about kids on Friday. I'm talking about kids. So I've kind of been focusing on a parental thing this week. So I think I'll be talking about kids on Friday. All right. So you all take care. Have a good morning, Vernell Livingston. How are you? Amen. Also in my eyes is a bonus parent or parents. Absolutely. Bonus parents are a blessing. We are a blessing in the life of a child, not a curse. And so it's very important to recognize that. It doesn't have to be hard, but if it's not for you, get out. Get out if it's not for you. All right. Y'all take care. Y'all have a wonderful day, a blessed week. And I will see you all soon. I love you all. Y'all take care. Amen.